Man, when that beat comes in,
I'm getting used to it. I'm bouncing this time.
I kind of want to step.
You gonna step?
Step when it comes in.
Well, that means I got to step.
Well, I mean, you know.
Well, you were a step master before I was a step
master. All right, well, there it is.
So
yeah, we got it. We got that part done. Hey, welcome back to another Marked Up show. Listen, today's guest, big time. I mean, I'm in a jacket.
I'm in a jacket.
You're in a jacket. So
yes,
it's got to be big time.
Jacket.
He's in a big jacket.
So I'm always in a jacket.
Yes.
Little Rock's first elected black man. We give a shout out to Lottie Shackelford. She was appointed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Little Rock's first elected black mayor, Frank Scott Jr. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with the two of you.
I feel like the crowd needs to go.
Yeah, they'll be doing a lot of in a few minutes. You still count the days in the office?
240 days, I believe.
240. Wow. How many days you got left?
I got a whole lot left.
I like that. I was wondering if you was gonna count this term. So I know last year you were running. So we had Stacey Abrams, we had Andrew Gillums, a lot of African American black politicians running for offices, from mayor to governor to whatever. And a lot of elected black officials, black politicians. And you've answered this question before, but you answered it before you took office. So now that you've taken office, I want to know, is it a new South? Because a lot of the black mayors are in the South. Birmingham, I believe, a couple other places, Jackson, Mississippi. So is it a new South?
It truly is a new South, and we are proud and honored to be a catalyst of America's new South. Right now what you have is predominantly black and brown individuals under the age of 50 that are leading the Deep South's most populated cities. Like you said, Mayor Chokwe Lumumba in Jackson, Mississippi, Randall Woodfin in Birmingham, Alabama, Eric Johnson in Dallas, Texas, Keisha Bottoms in Atlanta, Sharon Broom in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Adrian Perkins in Shreveport, Louisiana. You keep going down the entire South, and that's what you're beginning to see. Not only black and brown individuals, but black women. You're starting to see a lot of black women because you look at Washington, D.C. with Mayor Bowser, as well as Keisha Bottoms, that are really taking some people by storm.
Yeah, here's the thing. Now, I'm going to talk about controversy in a little bit, but you mentioned there's new women, a lot of black women, brown women as well. But, one of the things I wanted to talk about was you never used the race card. You never pulled black out in running for mayor.
Right. My whole entire goal, I think everyone, if you look at me, you can tell I'm black. So it's not, I'm pretty black myself, so it's not something that I ran away from. But at the end of the day, I was running to be mayor of the entire city of Little Rock. I was running to unify our city, moving us from being disconnected, connected, and understanding that lived experience, being born, raised, still resides south of 630 in southwest Little Rock. But I woke up every morning driving to Ranch Drive as a banker and understanding the disparities that we had in our city and how they needed to be addressed while we uplift the economic output that's going on, but understand that there are a lot of low-income, distressed areas that need to be paid attention to. And how do we bridge that gap? And that's what we were working towards. And that's what we talked about on the campaign. That's what we've been working towards now in the administration. And it's my internal why to unify the city and change it for the better.
Now, as we mentioned, Andrew Gillum and Stacey Abrams both running for governor. We'll talk about somebody else
real soon,
possibly running for governor some other time.
Who was that?
Hey,
I'm just throwing some names out there, KV.
Are you throwing a name out?
Yeah, I hadn't really thought. I'm just saying. Just said it. But
funny.
But in your new position, I mean, a lot of people, controversy is something that I know all too well, being in the public eye. So controversy is it's a whole different animal to deal with. Yeah. You've had to deal with some controversy. Let's talk about a couple of things. The new police chief, the no-knock warrants. The agenda was definitely to do some things. I know there's transparency with the critical incident video and the Citizens Review Board. Talk about, putting together that agenda moving forward, especially when it comes to fighting crime.
Well, I think to know me is to understand that I'm generally a policy wonk in my time as a senior advisor to Governor Mike Beebe. And so during the campaign trail, we wanted to have a public policy-driven agenda that was from the people of Little Rock. And so many times while we had our great ideas, we learned new ideas just by knocking on the doors in every area of our city, and that drove our campaign agenda. And that same campaign agenda was intensified with our transition period, with our transition board of directors and transition team that ultimately created our Scott script, which is really the script that our playbook on what we're going to do from a policy perspective. And so therein lies, we talked a lot about unifying our city, but changing our city. And so one of the things that came up on the campaign trail is to the city received some negative attention as it relates to no-knock warrants or lack thereof. And so we wanted to address that. And so when we got a new police chief, we addressed that with a new no-knock warrant policy. So whereas in 2018 we received negative national attention, we received positive national attention in 2019 by instituting the no-knock warrant policy. And then moving forward, a campaign promise made and kept with our citizen review board.
Right. Now, what people don't know is you're the golden child. I call you the golden child. Come on now. From Southwest. Happened to pass about 5 high schools to get to Parkview. From Southwest, past 10 colleges to go to Memphis. Governor appointee. Come on now, banker. I mean, you the
associate
golden
pastor.
Not
associate
only that,
pastor.
I remember just driving by and I'm like, that guy looks familiar. Poster child for UALR, I'm just saying.
Got my MBA from UA Little Rock.
Yeah.
Poster
He
child
is the
for
golden
UALR.
child. Yes.
So in some ways, you're the golden child.
Yeah.
No, I'm just a blessed man. I really am.
It's some
And
other
a
brothers
humble
out
man.
there. Want to be some blessed men.
I'm a
too.
blessed man, and I'm here by the grace of God and His mercy.
Right.
Because I'm not perfect. We've all had run-ins in life, and God has just been able to position me and put me around a lot of great people, and a lot of mentors, and many shoulders that I stand on and stand beside. And so without them, I wouldn't be the man or the leader that I am today.
Let's not forget your mom now.
Oh,
Mom's pushed you.
Very much. I mean,
She pushed you
talk
out the
about
nest
not
for
being
real.
here. Yeah, you're right. I mean, and many people, I think I was sharing with you earlier that, it was not in my intention to go to college at all. But for my mother, contributing to all of my scholarship applications and things of that nature.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked a bit about controversy now. And there's been none bigger so far. Well, it depends on who you ask.
Right.
The critical incident video, I mean, we saw the video, the Blackshear shooting. Man, that's been, if you've talked about it a couple of times, but if you're looking back over it, would you do it? Would they do it a different way? Would you like for it to be anything done a different way?
Not at all.
Because you're not going to make people happy on either side of the
Either
fence.
side. I would say I don't think I would do anything differently. Understanding the situation. No mayor walks into a situation thinking you're going to have to deal with what I had to deal with on my 53rd day in office. I mean, there was no honeymoon.
Yeah, none.
But first and foremost, whenever there's a loss of life, we always are going to be prayerful for those families that have been affected. But in my position, you got to make a decision. The only thing worse than a bad decision is no decision at all.
Right.
And so for me, it was about balancing due process and community unrest at the same time and doing the greater good. And so we made a decision, one, to expedite the investigation so we could present a critical incident video, which was the first of its kind, not only in our city but in our state. It was a progressive policy to make certain that we were going to be accountable, clear, and transparent to the citizens of Little Rock, irrespective of what you thought about the issue.
Right.
We wanted to make certain that investigation was expedited and done in a thorough fashion, but to a point that we can complete the investigation to get the video out as soon as possible.
But how do you do? People no one's going to be happy. And there were people who were saying, we understand the officer was fired, but no one's going to be happy in that situation.
Not at all.
And you never really get the full story.
True.
So you kind of wonder if you guys get the full story, if that's what you make your decision based on, or because there's going to be some controversy with it, and everybody can't deal with controversy. But in your chair, I mean, that happens every day.
Every day.
Yeah,
Every day.
And you're able to deal with it. So being black, you're under black or brown.
I'm black.
About to say, why'd you say it like that? But it's
you know,
all right. Yeah.
black mayor. So it doesn't matter. I was saying this earlier. There were other mayors before you, and people looked at their decisions kind of like they look at your decisions. But being the black mayor, you're under a bigger microscope
Yes.
with your decisions.
I would say again, as I've always shared, anywhere I go, there's always an emphasis of my race.
Right.
But as I shared, I ran to be the mayor of the city of Little Rock. I just happen to be black. But the interesting thing about that is that there's a lived experience and perspective that comes to the table in the decision making of our city and how we build and bridge our city together.
Now I understand infrastructure is on the way, so that was another part of your what you ran on. So let's talk about infrastructure in general. Just some general changes you'd like to see made, or you're planning on making.
Well, one of the things that we did first few days in office, we asked our Public Works Department to create a request for qualification for infrastructure study. And so what we want to do is take this first year to examine and study all the infrastructure issues that we have in this entire city, from city streets to water and drainage issues, and what we need to do to uplift the city as a whole. If you understand the economics of our city, we know that north of 630 and West Little Rock is really our economic indicators of where we're getting the most sales tax and property tax. And so the infrastructure is a lot better. And we got to continue to forward that growth to continue to have more economic output. But if you live here, you know there's a distinct difference between south of 630 and east of 30 areas. Right. A lot of that
is very significant difference.
And so a lot of that's because historically those areas of the city weren't originally a part of the city, and so the city was annexed to those areas, and so their infrastructure was already a difference and a variance in that perspective. And so now you're starting to see more of a crumbling infrastructure. And so it's our goal to make certain that where majority of the city lives is south of 630, east of 30 from a population standpoint. What do we need to do to improve that infrastructure? And if you understand economics, the foundation of economic development is infrastructure. And so what we can do is to improve that infrastructure, which will create a breathing ground for viability of economics.
Well, I know one of the things, the new school out there.
Oh, yeah, the new Southwest High School.
That's
going to be exciting.
I mean, we're going to get rid of McClellan?
And Fair.
And
Fair.
Yeah, and everybody's going to go
together to create the Southwest High School.
You a Southwest kid?
I am.
Would you have been at Southwest High School, or would you have?
I still was going to Parkview. Hell to the red, white, and blue.
The Patriots.
You're going to pass all these schools and go to Parkview.
I'm still going to Parkview.
No big deal. I understand. So
we got all the hardware at Parkview.
Do you really?
Yeah, we do. We do.
When's the last time I saw a football trophy?
It's been a while, but we still got the hardware.
I mean, like 83? It's been a while.
Before I was born.
There you go. So, I mean, so if you're going to make some improvements and they're going to get a football hardware, that would be pretty good right there.
We'll try. I was talking about basketball. I see you want to talk about
I was going to say that. Now, the Patriots had it for basketball.
But see, here's the thing. Parkview graduates always want to talk basketball as if there's no other sports being played. Come on now. Football.
That's the one that they have the hardware in, though. That's what they have to stick with.
Kind of per capita, probably got the most professional athletes out of Little Rock.
Really?
Yeah. Check it out.
Oh, better than Central?
Yeah. Because I know is mine is up for, my classmate, Joe Johnson. I'm just saying.
Hey.
Hey.
I so Joe.
When it comes to money, I think Central's professional athletes have made a little more money.
Well, we have to check those stats.
Check those stats. I got you.
Do some research.
Another thing you took a lot of controversy for was for security purposes.
Yes.
So, did you feel like, of course you felt like you needed it, but there are a lot of people who said controversy online, they didn't feel like you needed it.
Well, first and foremost, I think if you understand the situation, we accepted the recommendations of two different police chiefs, the current police chief, Keith Humphrey, as well as our interim police chief, Wayne Bewley, due to the security concerns that were made aware of during a period of time, not only when I entered office, but right after the election.
Right.
So,
so this wasn't a thing that you just decided.
Exactly.
It was somebody came to you with it.
Exactly.
Right.
But it was definitely a lot of security concerns that have been happening since December 4th. And if it was up to my mother, my family would have been happening on December the 5th.
Right.
But understanding the political reality, that's not anything that a person wants to do. Understand that there could be some political backlash, but at the end of the day, it's about safety and safety consciousness. And protection of the city's chief elected officer that's widely in the public. But again, it's something that was new to the city. But you go to any mid-size or large city, particularly a capital city mayor, that's the norm. That's not nothing new, but it was new to our city. But at the end of the day, it's about public safety. It's not. I'm not on some high horse and just wanted to have some security. I grew up with a governor. I know what some security look like. So, but at the end of the day, it's about the safety and the safety consciousness.
And here's another thing. I mean, for somebody who you're very accessible, you're everywhere.
Everywhere.
So you probably need that.
Yeah.
What is with the accessibility? Like I don't remember. Not to say that it didn't happen,
Right.
but I don't remember any mayor that you could walk in the store and see.
Well, hey, that's
or
the
a restaurant. And see,
Right.
you
That's
know.
true.
Well, I'm a man of the people. I'm going to remain a man of the people, but also have to be safe to the same viewpoint. And I'm definitely grateful for our security detail. I'm grateful for the men and women of Little Rock Police Department that are waking up every day to protect and serve you and me. And but I'm going to remain accessible. I go any and everywhere, and I'm not afraid to go.
I know. We get our haircut from the same guy. Shout out to
Matt Dillon, Goodfellas.
Goodfellas Barbershop.
Who you with?
There you go. We get our haircuts. So I know you. That's the first place I saw you.
Yep.
And then I reached out to you on social media because you're a big social media guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember a mayor being
As
accessible.
active.
Well,
accessible on
I am a
social
millennial
media.
mayor, and I think that's. I grew up with social media. I remember when I first got my Facebook account as it was starting, and I had to get it actually because I graduated college in 2005, and so in May of 2005, and so you can only have your .edu for a certain period of time to get
And then
onto
it will
Facebook.
go out. That's true.
.edu?
Hey, I did. Yeah, I know.
And so,
Oh,
but
that
as a
was
millennial
Yeah.
mayor, you have to be expressive and communicative, and not only accessible, but accessible online. So I deal with a lot of criticism and feedback because people want to share their opinion. But many times, if you just answer someone's question, whether it's a yes, no, or I don't know, they appreciate that feedback.
Now, when I mentioned this to my friends and people that follow my social media that I was going to interview you, people had emailed me and asked me questions and had some stuff they were upset about.
Right.
So I put it.
Oh,
along
Lord.
the line.
Oh, we got a list.
That's what you said.
Got
Are you
a
okay
list.
with answering all these questions?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to
Make
treat this
sure.
like Twitter. All right, let's go.
Okay, so I don't play. I just picked up golf with my brother.
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
So we closed the golf course, Warmermore, Hyman Park, man. It's the only place I played. You closed my golf course.
Hey, it's right down the street from my house.
Exactly.
And most of the folks who played there wasn't even from Southwest Little Rock.
Here's what I can understand if we were getting rid of the geese. Let's get rid of the geese and keep the golf course.
No, seriously. Again, many times we enter into office as mayors not knowing different things that are going to take place. I take Governor Mike Beebe. He walked into office, I'm giving that perspective because I used to work for him, thinking he was going to solely be the jobs and education governor. But due to the political realities of the day, he became the healthcare governor.
Right.
And so for me, walking into office, I did not campaign on shutting down golf courses. But I did campaign on being a leader. And part of being a leader is you have to make tough decisions. And so when we walked in the door, understand that there were some financial challenges that you have to right-size government and cut a budget to be put in line to make certain that our city was on financial stewardship. And when you look at the different things that weren't basically getting the return on the investment or return on effectiveness, that our city could not sustain 4 public golf courses. It only could sustain 2. And so we decided that those 2 would be War Memorial Park as well as Hyman Park. And again, it's the golf operations that we ceased. Those still are publicly used green spaces, and we now have a new vision on how we're going to reinvest and revitalize and reimagine.
Ooh, look at that
Now-
face.
yeah.
You got excited. Look
Now
at the face.
listen, because I heard a little rumor because I'm still a novice golfer. So my question is, what you gonna do about my golf play? So I've heard a little something about that could be coming. So, but I want you to elaborate.
Well, the rumor is, and it started on social media. This is well before we decided to cease golf operations. That many people in social media say, "Hey, we really want to see a Top Golf in the city of Little Rock." And being someone who's visited Top Golf myself in Dallas and other areas, I know the realities of how golf is transitioning to more of an entertainment sport as we move forward. And so I literally just said, "Okay, great. We want to have Top Golf," and I tagged Top Golf, and they was like, "Well, we want to be there too." and through that, and it demonstrates the power of social media, because one of my friends was really close with the CFO of Top Golf and found out through that tweet. And then literally we started having conversations in early December before I even was sworn into office on January the 2nd. And by that time in February, I actually had a meeting with the Chief Development Officer.
What?
So we've had several meetings, and we are still in discussions about a Topgolf in Little Rock. They do want to be in Little Rock. It's about the location and where it could be. And so we're working towards that right now.
That was my next question because
where's it going to be? Where's my top?
Because Southwest, actually right off of 30, and I'm thinking Southwest right after, that's where the new outlets are.
Outlets, yeah.
So you
not
can
too far from Southwest High School.
Not too
Very
far
true.
from. Man, I can't say that. I'm still. I'm not even a McClellan graduate. I mean, it's not too far from Southwest High School. But how do you decide where to put that?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about what we can position to Topgolf, but they're ultimately going to decide where they want to go.
Oh, okay.
But they're definitely one of the things they have shared with us of what they're most interested in is being located contiguous to an interstate or not too far from an interstate, where you have a combination of households and commercial play. And so they have a huge lunch crowd of people who go during the lunch hours. And so they make a lot of dollars from that standpoint.
But see, that sounds like, because Geyer Springs is heavily driven. That's heavy traffic.
Yeah, I would say if they went any area, it'd probably look at 4:30 and 6:30 are some areas that they would want to be clear.
That's what I'm talking about. Robinson High School over there near Robinson is always a great place.
Always a great place.
Yeah, it's always a great place. I think KV is going to probably lighten this thing up a little bit. We're going to take some of the heat off of you.
All right.
I do want you to think about the next question. In the background, we see the governor's mansion. I'm going to let you think about that for a minute. I'm not even going to say anything. Not the governor's mansion, but the governor. Where the governor is,
the state
capital is behind.
So
I worked there for a long time.
I'm not gonna put it on you right now, but I'm gonna let you think about that while KV. I know she's got some things to add.
Yeah, I just have a few. Of course, he always gets the hard stuff out the way, and I just come in with the most radical things possible. So, my question is, when do you sleep? Where does that when?
Man, I got that down.
You've been in for how many days?
240 days.
But who's counting? Right. So how does that work? When do you get to rest at all?
I try my best to find time to rest. It's hard right now because I really take this job as a true responsibility for you and the people of Little Rock, because I serve you and the people of Little Rock. You guys are my bosses, and so I want to make certain that I'm going to be the best mayor that I can be. Within all the capability that God has blessed me to have. And so I have a lot of late nights and early mornings, but I am trying to do a better job of going to sleep. I just I naturally wake up about 3:45, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's always been the case.
So clearly
that's nothing new though.
Clearly you're not married and never been married. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I'm not married yet.
Oh, okay. So that's. I'm gonna put
well,
that
I was gonna say that's a question I got when I put that out.
But my significant other understands my current sleep habits.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
Understands.
So ladies that are listening, can't inbox me that anymore. Can you ask the mayor if? There you go. It has been answered. And so when you're talking about that as well, and we are in a beautiful establishment right now, by the way, but
Capital Seafood.
Yes, let's talk about these eating
Yeah.
habits. Because for me, I'm up late. I eat. And eat all types of things I'm not supposed to have.
Right.
So, but you are a pescatarian,
I'm
right?
a pescatarian and I'm a foodie. So anybody knows.
How does that work?
Yeah,
foodie
you gotta stay in
how does
shape.
that work?
You can't get out. I can't get out of shape.
No,
I can't, and I'm even understand. I'm trying to work out a little harder too. I want to keep it sexy. So.
There you go.
Previous mayors have never said anything about keeping it sexy.
Bringing it back, bringing it back. This is New South. So
I
here
can't
we go.
lose myself.
Right.
And I got a lot of friends who can care less about how I feel. They'll let me know that if I'm getting a little overweight, they gonna say, "Oh man!"
Really?
So you have no problem with that? If somebody reached out on social media and said, "Hey, I see some love handles."
Yeah, I have no
Yeah,
problem. It'll give me a little bit more motivation.
Okay.
I'm wondering.
You know how the old folks say, "You feeling out."
When they say you feeling out, you've already
filled out. Right, it's too late for that at that point. That's okay.
You've already filled out.
Well, see, I was gonna say the old folks would just say, "Well, somebody's happy." See, that's what I would hear. So there you go.
Now you got me
That's how that
sweating
comes
over
out.
And they say you eating good.
Yes, you're eating
so
good.
you know you got
so
somebody.
you know you got it. Right.
You know.
So, okay, and I understand you have so many decisions to make every day, especially for us and protecting us in our city. But if you could have any superpower, Mr. Mayor,
Oh, wow.
what would that superpower be and why?
Well, he's already
Do
an
you
alpha
wish you-
man, so he's got a
You
superpower.
just have to throw that
If I could
in
be a
every time. Would it be
superpower.
invisible? Would you like to be invisible sometimes? I mean, I would just want to know, what would that superpower be for you?
I don't.
Let this be known. I have the mayor thinking
You do
at this
You
time.
do. Well, my favorite, one of my favorite superheroes is Spider-Man.
Okay, all right.
I'm a
Come
big
on now.
Marvel
All
comic
right,
fan. Are
okay.
you going to Comic-Con? I'm a big Comic-Con
I'm
fan.
not
by the
going
way.
to
Okay.
Comic-Con. I'm not.
But I'm a big Spider-Man fan. But I would
Okay.
say having telepathic powers would be great.
Nice.
By the way, if I ever saw
Nice.
you in like a giant Spider-Man outfit, I'm never
There-
going to finish.
There are pictures out there that you will never
I
see.
am never going to finish.
No, there are no pictures out there.
I'm just telling you, I'm never going to finish.
That's all right. And of course, one of these is going to have to go. And I know you're a pescatarian, but I'm like, gosh, how does that work? So, that's
And I'm a recent pescatarian.
Okay,
It's been
all right.
only for about a year and a half.
So I can go
now,
backwards
so-
just a little bit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
one of these has to go. Is it going to be Captain Crunch?
Mm.
Is it going to be Frosted Flakes? Or is it going to be Rice Krispies? Go for it.
Captain Crunch.
What?
No,
No,
Frosted
Oh,
Flakes.
you gonna do away with the
Frosted
berries?
Flakes.
Okay.
Gotta get rid of that.
So you got it. Tony the Tiger has to go.
It got
So
to
Tony
everything is
gotta
not
go.
great.
Yeah, it's
Gosh,
not-
man. Okay.
Great.
That's something I come with that light. I just like,
like
that's how
that.
we get to
I
know
like
you.
that.
And then let us know what is on the mayor's playlist. What how does that work?
Music.
Yes,
Music-wise,
what's on
Big
it?
Sean,
Okay.
Wale.
You are Gen
Yes.
X. You are a new millennial.
Yeah,
Love
so
it.
Big Sean, Wale.
He just said one man can change the
Yeah.
world. We
J.
gotta
Cole.
love-
So no
Oh,
Yeah.
Jodeci?
Okay.
Chance.
Is it just me?
Yeah.
No
So no
Chance the
Jodeci?
rapper?
Yeah, Drake is I'm a big fan of
Okay.
Drake as well.
right.
But I'm
Okay.
a big Sean fan the most.
I like that.
So
I
the
like that.
'90s neo soul is not.
I'm a
on
big
the
Neo
plate.
Soul fan.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Okay.
So,
Jodeci.
Get a little Jodeci.
I used to be a member of Jodeci. I was the fifth member.
but you
You
know,
know what?
but you know when Jodeci
Did
is
you
out,
have the
I was
boots
like
too?
in elementary.
Did
when
you have
Jodeci
that
was
I
out.
in
understand
the
that.
boots? And
I was the fifth member of Jodeci.
I missed that on the sand in that
On
video
the
with the
sand.
leather. I didn't see you on that one. I missed that.
I dropped out of the band before they
right
actually
before
took
they
off.
did that.
gotcha.
Okay.
Took off.
I got you.
I got you.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
just saying.
Okay.
And so a minute ago, we're talking about the whole governor thing.
You were talking about
Oh,
that.
I was
He
talking
said
about
you
that.
were.
I thought we were
I
all
wasn't
talking
He
about
said
it.
he took a sip of water.
So
That's what he did.
okay, so here's the deal. So first black elected mayor.
Mhm.
You everybody thinks bigger. That's a big office across the street.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be on your mind. It has to have been on your mind at some point.
Not
maybe.
at all.
Never been on your mind.
Okay.
Not at all.
Never.
My dream was to be where I am right now.
Get out of town.
Really?
That's
Okay.
my dream.
So you're So this is it. What are you gonna do next?
Well, you never know what your future's going to lie.
Okay.
But my goal is really to elevate Little Rock, as we shared earlier, to be the catalyst of the New
Mhm.
South. I really want to see Little Rock increase its educational achievement as well as diversity in the marketplace. There's no reason why we shouldn't be the capital of the South. There's no reason why people ought to run to Atlanta. They ought to be running to Little Rock. But it's going to take us to increase the diversity of the marketplace, educational achievement, and really focusing on our true potential.
See, I just want to educate a lot of people out there. When somebody says never know what the future holds, that's called leaving the door open just in case.
Just in case.
Just leaving the door open just in case. All right, well, we appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming
We
on.
appreciate
you.
it.
Big
It's
fan.
always good to be
Time,
around a fellow
yes.
alpha man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kappa Eta and Theta Kappa right here.
I just get quiet, but it's
You know,
okay.
you're Delta. It's
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
We love the D.
Like I said earlier, I was Miss Black and Gold for a while, not only for Henderson State, but for the state of Arkansas
Hey, we
at
all
one
about
point in time.
scholarship.
So hey,
Scholars
I
making
appreciate it.
dollars. It's okay. we like all sororities.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
I didn't know it was any other fraternities, but we do like all of them.
Only on the Marked Up Show, guys.
That's
Only
right.
on the
Marked
Marked
Up
Up
Show.
Show.
Thanks for getting marked
No,
up, man. We
pleasure to
appreciate
be
it.
with you on Marked Up Show.
All right.
now.
That's the one and only elected first elected
Yes,
black mayor.
Black Mayor
Governor Frank Scott.
Frank Scott.
Thank you.
Thank
Can
you.
we get used to saying Governor Frank Scott?
No, mayor.
We don't want to do
Just
that. We
mayor.
just want to say mayor.
He said,
I'm
"Don't
just
push
trying to be
that
the
right
mayor.
now. Don't
All
push that
all
right now."
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.